just we grab life by the jowls.
By the jowls.
And we pull it forward, we give it a big smooch on its lips, and we say, you know what? We own life today.
Grab it by the plums.
Grab it by the plums.
Juice it for all it's worth. We did say, though, that in 2025, we would, new year, new start, professional introduction to the STC podcast, and I think we've already failed.
What are you talking about? This, oh yeah, okay, we've started, haven't we?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to the STC podcast. It's a podcast with me, Warsmith Chris, and him, Winters SEO. And this is a podcast all about lore and other... I mean, it's never really about lore, is it?
It's not, is it?
Sometimes it is a little bit.
We did some once, but we haven't done much since then.
Yeah, I think what it's better to do is if we introduce it as... Just say it's a podcast.
It's a
podcast. They don't need to know what it's about. You don't know... No.
Well, we don't know what it's about either, and if they don't know what it's about and we don't know what it's about, then we're all singing off the same hymn sheet here. Basically, It's two hobby chaps talking about their hobby, the things that they want to talk about. And people who want to sit in and listen in and things while they're painting away, then thank you. Welcome to the SDC podcast. We also sometimes answer questions from the Winters SEO community as well. I'm talking about myself in the first person here, and I say sometimes because sometimes we get some decent questions and sometimes we don't, and sometimes we don't even answer any of them.
But in 2024 we did implement, and we'll keep this going in 2025 I assume, we did implement a new rating system.
We did.
In which case we will offer a rating for questions based on however we feel at the time. Sometimes I think it was like out of 1 to 17 at one point, 1 to 5 another. You know, we'll say it like it is.
Yeah. So
talking about hobby and everything, what do you do? Hobby? Have you done any hobby?
We do some hobby, and today, my hobby, I've done some tomb blades. I'm doing some Necrons right now. I'm doing some 40k.
What's made you want to do the Necrons?
Well, Star Shatter Arsenal Detachment came out, and it likes mounted stuff, and tomb blades are mounted.
They are.
And it turns out that out of my 10,000 points of Necrons, there's only about 3 or 4 data sheets I haven't got, and one of them is tomb blades. So it was a good excuse to do 12 tomb blades. I got 6. I'm looking at 6 sat there right now. So,
can I tell you a story about tomb blades?
You can. Does it have a dragon in it?
It depends how you look at things, but everyone who knows me knows that I have a turbulent relationship with Necrons. I have about 3,000 points of Necrons now, but I didn't in the past, when Necrons were probably at their peak, when they were really strong, back in like 6th edition, and they could do lots of things. And I've forgotten that guy's name. Was it Matt Ward? There was a writer for Games Workshop who just loved Ultramarines and apparently Necrons. I think that was his name. And he wrote a very strong codex for them, and it made me sad because I was playing against them a lot. And one of the things that I had an advantage on against Necrons was the fact they were quite slow.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, they may just blow the crap out of me at every opportunity, and they were really good in melee as well. Like their lord could come around and just chop your head off with a thing and fly off, and they could warp around, and they did all these nasty things, but they were kind of slow, so I had a bit of an advantage there. And then tomb blades hit the table, and all of a sudden they could go really fast, and you could put Tesla on them, or you could put Gauss weapons on them. And I was like, this is the next level. Tomb blades are horrible. They're much nicer now, but that was my story. I resented tomb blades for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, but
don't resent the tomb blades.
I've made up with them now.
My counter to that would be Necrons were always quite quick because you had the teleport thing. That's always been a thing. Scarabs and wraiths back in 6th edition.
Yeah.
Scarabs like hit on 5s and then wounded on 6s.
Yeah.
But 6s to wound against vehicles counted as a glancing hit.
Yes, it did.
So
they could
Scarabs were just eating tanks.
Yeah.
And you could string them out when some died or when you had some spiders nearby. You could string some in front of the Scarab Swarm,
Yeah.
and then get first turn charges off and eat the tank part. And then Wraiths were quick as well. So
Wraiths
they
just
always
went
had a bit of
straight through
speed.
scenery. They didn't
Yeah.
care. And I believe they had a 3-up invulnerable,
They did, yeah.
which was beefy.
Very tanky.
But they've
Yeah,
changed
they
a
were
bit now. They're a different flavour now. I still like Necrons now. I've got over my sadness. They seem a bit more balanced since they got their personalities back. So
Right. Yeah.
we have actually got a question about Necrons later that'll be interesting
Have we?
to ask. Yeah.
Dive into that. What are you doing in your hobby journey so far? What have you been working on?
Oh, you know what? I'm committed to getting my Horus Heresy done. However, the weather has been pretty poor, and I haven't really had an opportunity to get some base spray down on my infantry. So I've pretty much just got infantry left to do, but I haven't been able. And the thing is, they're so easy. It's tantalizingly close. I just got to spray like 20 tactical marines, 5 recon marines, and 5 terminators, and I'm pretty much there. And the thing is, the spray colour you put on them is like the colour of their armour. It's silver, right? So then they're almost ready to go as soon as you spray them. But it's been snowing and sleeting and raining, and it's not great. So
Iron Warriors are about the easiest scheme to do, except for the yellow and black hashes. Like spray lead belcher, none oil, done.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
You do a little bit of dry brushing.
The Emperor will not stand for these kind of excuses, Warsmith.
Yeah, I
You
know.
are a Warsmith.
I know. I better find some way. I might just do it. I might just sit here and just do it and breathe in all that lovely
breathe it in,
vapor.
get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I managed to spray these fellas in between the break in the snow and things, because it's January in the UK. So you can find a way in your heart. You can push on, do the Warsmith thing.
I've got a top tip for sprayers in the cold weather.
Right.
I haven't done this myself, but apparently this works. This is what people have told me when I've complained about the snowy weather. They say that it's not the temperature outside or the temperature of the models, it's the temperature of the paint can.
Yeah.
So apparently, if you shake your spray can and run it under the hot tap and keep it warm, and then you go outside with your room temperature or slightly higher can of paint, it'll be completely fine, even in the snow. So there you go.
Yeah. You basically fill your sink with hot water, put your can in it, make a tea, make a cup of tea, pour it in the sink, the water after the tea. When you finish your tea, come back to your can that's been sat in your sink and go and spray it. Job's a good one. If you're in America, coffee.
Coffee.
I
thought you were talking about making tea like it was like making tea with the can of spray paint. So it was like a hot sink, and then you use your can like a tea bag and pop it in. No, okay.
Don't make tea with cans of spray paint. Do not do that.
And don't breathe that stuff in. It's really bad, I think.
Yeah, milk,
really
two sugars, milk first, obviously.
Anyway, listen, enough about that. This is the STC and it's 2025.
Yes.
And we've decided that we're going to mix things up a little bit for 2025. A little bit of the familiar, a little bit of the new, right? So we were talking about it, and you suggested, and we both agreed that the best kind of content you can find on the internet is, of course, top tens, top fives, top threes, top lists of stuff. And we thought, you know what, we're all about that algorithm lifestyle.
We're all about the algorithm here. The figures don't lie.
The figures don't lie.
I was like, who on the internet wouldn't want to hear our take on the top 5? Who wouldn't? I want to hear it. Our top 5 books, our top 5 miniatures, our top 5 paints, and today, our top 5 tabletop armies. Who doesn't want to listen to this kind of hobby gold?
Exactly.
So
and it gives us an excuse. Yeah, it gives us an excuse to berate each other and say that each other have terrible taste in things. Because what we've actually done is that we're going to make a top 5.
Yeah.
But actually, we've got 6 entries. We're bringing 3 entries each.
Yes.
And we've got to make a top 5 list. And the problem is, I'm the kind of person that likes the film Midsummer, right? I think it's a great film. I think it's a great film. And I think you're the kind of person that doesn't understand good cinema and doesn't like Midsummer. So I don't know how we're going to form a little top 5 list, maybe, with these two
over the
completely
time of doing this with you, the thing that I've come to realise is about the only thing that we have in common is our devastating good looks and our love for the Warhams.
Exactly,
Apart from that, you eat kale, you're like full-on vegan, you like to punch kittens, you're a dog person, I'm a cat person, you skip the light fandango, I like crying in a corner. Your tastes in movies and music are terrible. I don't understand why you're not a Swiftie and you don't like Busted. I've been to the year 3000. Not much has changed, but they live underwater.
Yeah.
And you don't get this sort of stuff. You're more like Megadeth, AC/DC, rocker, bearding. You shower. I don't wash at all. Just these things, we have nothing in common except for the Warhams. So this is the other thing we can do about the top 5 is, I know you tapped up the community as well.
I have.
So we'll nail our top 5, and then at the end we can introduce some of their suggestions and see if they pip some of our top 5s, and we become the definitive Winter's SEO top 5 community Warsmith Chris smash together smorgasbord of genius Warham's ideas.
Exactly, yeah. And, spoilers, I'm not going to spoil it, but spoilers for me is that I obviously read the stuff that the people post. We've got some questions as well, I might come into it. But you'd be surprised, there's a faction that just came up over and over again. I don't know whether it's in your selection, but it's not in mine. So
I purposely don't read the posts to keep it fresh.
You got to keep it fresh. Yeah. But I have to put in a little bit of effort, to curate this podcast. So I've got some information. I'm armed with some information that might be quite shocking, or it might not be. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to be a gentleman.
Right. I'm
going to let you propose. Are you going to do it in any particular order, or are you just going to throw them in there?
Look, this is top 5. We're not going to get petty and say which is the 5th and which is the 1st.
Yeah, okay.
We don't need that kind of classism here.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is say these deserve to be in the conversation whenever anyone talks about the top 5 tabletop armies. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. But what we will say is if your army is not in the top 5, then it's garbage.
Clearly mine are in the top 5. And I'll be a gentleman and let you go first.
Oh, you're going to let me go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go first.
I thought I'd say that before you had a chance to say it.
All right. Okay. But you didn't.
Not petty.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm in a wild card. I'm going to throw it in from the left field. Right?
Here we go. Clip it, pin it. Someone in the comment section. They actually start the podcast at X number of minutes. I'll pin it in the comment section. Thank you very much. Drum roll, please. Warsmith is Chris. I don't check any of your pitch for one of the top 5 tabletop armies. Warsmith Chris.
Okay, this army has been up and down, up and down. Sometimes it's fully supported, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's the best out there in the meta, sometimes it isn't. And I'm going for the Harlequins, right? Crazy, I know. Don't look at me like that. Right, I'm going to justify it. You got to let me speak on behalf of my choice, right? So, first of all, I knew this was a mistake bringing the space elves into it, but listen, they're not the same kind of space elves as the other ones, right? From a lore perspective, and we're looking at the whole picture here, but from a lore perspective, Harlequins are exciting, right?
Are they even an army though?
They are an army. They've got all the bits for an army. They've got dedicated transports. They've got dedicated tanks, kind of. It's kind of the same thing as the transport, but with a different gun on the back. And they've
what's your pitch for top 5? Skip to the end.
Okay, right. So I think the Harlequins as a play style are very interesting. They're murder clowns. They've always had a resilience that's based on luck, right? So if you can, a bit like Custodians, if you can roll off those 4s, your little T3 skinny, wafer thin paper mache Harlequins can tank forever, right? If you can make those 4s. They're great. They're lethal in combat. They're fast. They flip over terrain. They play a bit like how their lore says. They've always got stratagems which help them be tricksy. They can shoot and move and things like that. Sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. Depends what edition it is. They're harder to hit. They're meant to be this crazy prismatic... Right, listen. You're a guardsman, right? You've got your boys with you, and you're on a planet, and you're holding up in a building, and you hear this noise. You hear this... And then you see this blur of colour in the sky, right? And you hear like... Psh, psh, psh. I think someone's attacking us. They've thrown smoke. And the next thing is you look at the guy next to you, and he's got like worms crawling under his skin. And there's laughing faces in the clouds, and the floor is turning into a weird wavy pink stuff. And that's because Harlequins attack with this crazy psycho, whatever it's called, laughing gas stuff that makes you hallucinogens and all this kind of stuff. And then in that horrible, crazy stupor, you hear this laugh, because they're followers of Kegarak, the laughing god. So they laugh, and you're supposed to not be able to even comprehend how normal Eldar move, by the way. The way that Eldar move, they're very, very agile, and they can flip about and spin about. But Harlequins, with their flip belts, are going to be flipping over stuff, and you get a bit of that in on the tabletop, right? You get to play as murder clowns, you get to flip out of vehicles, you get to flip over people, stab them. You're horrendously good in combat. What's not to love about
spandex? Spandex is not good to spandex. We can start there.
Yeah, but they pull it off. They pull off the spandex because they're lithe. Do you know what I mean?
You're an enemy army,
right,
and the SAS come bursting in through the windows, and they're wearing spandex. It's hardly... Also, spandex with diamonds on, you need to be a gold demon level painter to actually paint this tabletop army.
You do. That is probably their biggest drawback. Yeah, they're hard to paint. But boy, do they not look great when they're...
If you're a golden demon level painter, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Spandex. Harlequins haven't been cool since 1989.
Fine. All right, fine. But I just think they're neat. I think they deserve a spot in the top armies of the tabletop. Even when they don't have a codex of their own, but sometimes they do, and when they
don't even have a codex of their own.
They don't at the moment.
So look, they might be a unique army. Yes. In the same way that Grot tanks and Grot artillery is a unique army. They're they're cute and small, and they're like, they've got the murder grinning faces as well. Gretchen.
They do, yeah, they do.
And the Harlequins are around the same size and about as frightening. But they're unique. I'll give it that to you. But top 5?
Murder clowns, come on.
Murder clowns.
All right, that was my... I came in... I didn't come in with my big guns, all right? I came in with my small arms fire.
Right.
You tell me what a real army for the top 5 should be then.
Top 5, homebrew generic Space Marine chapter, boom. Top 5, right there.
Okay. So you like the colour grey?
No, I didn't say grey.
You like milky tea?
Who doesn't like milky tea?
You don't put salt and pepper, you don't put any seasoning on your food?
Well, sometimes.
You enjoy a nice boiled potato?
Boil them, mash them, stick them in the stew.
Okay, why are generic Marines the
Who doesn't look, the thing, so Harlequins, diamonds, right? Generic Space Marine chapter, your own homebrew Space Marine chapter. You can paint whatever colour you want. That is a hobby smorgasbord of excitement and the hobby. You can dive into that deep. You can do whatever you want with the colour scheme, with the collection, with the painting, with the stuff. Top 5 tabletop army. It's also one of the most represented armies out there. Lots of people have generic Space Marine chapters. It's also the 13th. The 13th are a glorious, probably should be canon, let's face it, Space Marine chapter. They're absolutely stunning as well. It's a good starter army. If anyone wants to start anywhere, Space Marines are good. Here's your Space Marines. Take your Space Marines and paint them any colour you want. And you can run them any way you want. A top 5 tabletop army for a beginner, middle, or ender is your own generic, whatever it might. Your own Space Marine chapter. Create your own lore. Create your own passion. Create your own heroes. Hobby, your way.
You know what? You gave that such a pitch that I don't feel like I can really come back against it. That was
that was a home run, hit out of the park, as the Americans would say.
Yeah,
that is an undeniable good idea for a top 5
tabletop. It is a good idea, but let me.
I thank you.
Let me add a little bit of spice to the pot.
What?
Right?
What?
Space Marines are great. They are the poster children. They're also easy to acquire, right? I get that as well.
Another reason why.
A great reason. You know, they come with every box that comes out has got some kind of Space Marines, and then people put them on eBay because there's so many Space Marines. It's great.
So you can get them again. So thank you for making my case for me.
However,
what?
I also believe that Space Marines are a bit of a trap army. Now, in recent years,
What?
this has been somewhat resolved, right? But up until fairly recently, Space Marines were always slightly on the underwhelming side of things, right? They've got a lot. Listen, I'm not arguing that they haven't got way better. They're a much more formidable force now. But for a long time, Space Marines were very sort of middle of the road.
What it is Space Marines would come out with the launch, obviously, because they're the best. And then Codex creep would happen over time. So Space Marines would obviously be behind the curve. But as we discovered beforehand, Chris likes armies from 1989. Yeah. He's still sucked back in the last century.
Yeah.
These days, they are the G. They are the
they
go-to.
are good, yeah.
They are the... You can't go digging up like the Second World War to quote what's going on now in modern warfare.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
Not, yeah. You're right. Your pitch number 2.
Okay. Pitch number 2. Like,
yes.
This is a guaranteed hit, right?
Guaranteed.
It's got to be. So, if you're into playing games for fun, right, and you want to get on the table and you want to commit heinous acts of violence, there are a few armies that you can do it with. But the most fun and gratifying force to do it with, I believe, personally, is a mechanized orc army. So I'm talking about boys with choppers and sluggers, in trucks, in any vehicle you can get them in, on bikes, in squig buggies, in vehicles rocking around with giant death rollers on the front, you know, battle wagons with cannons the size of a moon on the back that just fire stuff everywhere, and you push them all forward. That's all you have to do. And then when you get to the other side, you fire, you roll 1 billion dice, you jump out, and you attack everything. And even if you lose desperately, like terribly lose, you've been playing as the orcs. You've had fun doing what you're supposed to do, right? There are other armies that focus on the melee side of things. Right. When it comes down to orcs, you get everything all in one. You get to shoot a lot, you get to fight a lot, you get to pilot ridiculous vehicles. You get it all.
You shoot a lot, but don't hit a lot.
You don't hit a lot, but
no.
When you do
hit, you do shoot a lot.
You do shoot a lot. You roll buckets of dice.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're not in it just to win.
Yeah.
Although orcs, I strongly believe orcs are very good at the moment. They've also struggled in the past. They've got up and down, but I think orcs are very, very good. What more fun could you have?
What's you saying? Fun? What type of orcs? Orcs in trucks and buggies, or orcs in gargants, or
all of it?
Orcs on mechanized orcs.
I'm saying, something to get your orcs up there. Yeah, you can jump them and all that kind of stuff. But rocking up in a whole load of buggies and having mega knobs coming out of gargants and all that kind of stuff.
Right, mechanized orcs.
Yeah,
not the right way to do it, which is horde orcs.
Oh, yeah, you can do horde orcs if you want. green
Well,
tile
which
and
one are you
everything.
picking?
But then they're not in truck. No, I'm just saying. Yes, you can do
top
that.
5 tabletop army.
Yeah.
Is it a mix and mix? Is
No.
it horde orcs? Is it mech orcs? Or is it mech orcs and horde orcs?
It's hordes of orcs.
I see those as two. No, I see those as two
Yeah.
different types of ways of playing, though. You've got mechanized orcs and
Sure.
you've got horde orcs. Are we talking about both in the same tabletop army, or are we talking about two different types of orcs?
I'm talking about hordes of orcs coming out
Hordes
of
of orcs.
trucks. Coming out of trucks and battle wagons.
So you're talking horde orcs.
Yeah. Hordes of orcs in trucks and battle wagons.
But what have the trucks and battle wagons got to do with it?
Because that's how the
If you're
orcs are
doing
going to
horde
get there.
orcs.
No. They're not. I'm not talking about running across a battlefield getting shot at with your orcs. I'm talking
Does it
about.
have to be just tracks and battle wagons, or can you put them in stompers and Gorkanauts and Morkanauts as
Oh yeah.
well?
As long as they're in something and they're going fast towards. Okay, we're kind of talking about a speed war then,
A speed war.
but with
You
a
wouldn't
focus
have
on.
Morkanauts or Gorkanauts in a
All right.
speed war.
You know what?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about getting orcs across the table as quick as possible
Right.
to hit people with their choppers.
Speed war boys.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Speed
But
war
that's the
boys. They-
fastest
yeah.
way.
Okay.
On the bikes, in the trucks, in the battle
Yeah.
wagons.
Yeah, that.
That.
And then they open up and lots of orcs come out very
Right.
close to the enemy and they just charge, chop stuff, shoot stuff. Orc players know what I'm talking about.
I'm an orc player.
Yeah, but like real orc players, you know what I mean?
I'm a real orc player.
You know, ones that like Midsummer,
No one
don't
likes
think
that
generic
movie.
Space Marines are a top 5 army. I'm
They
talking
are,
about
though.
real orc players. If you're the kind of orc player that shouts "wah,"
I
but
am.
not all the time. All right, so
I can't put it on camera all the time because it blows out the audio
Yeah, it does,
and it makes my opponent deaf.
yeah,
But
and-
believe me, she's come downstairs she's come upstairs a few times
yeah,
to keep that racket down, boys, while
Yeah.
we're sitting there playing with our toy soldiers.
which are orcs, which you're having great fun with because they're getting into combat out of trucks.
It seems to me that you are so confused about orcs, being not an orc player yourself, that you don't even know what type of tabletop orc army you're describing. And
listen.
it seems to have changed pitch halfway through your pitch.
No.
From stompy things and things on things to things in things to things getting out of things. At one point you said boys in squigs, which I'm pretty sure is a dead boy because he's been eaten by a squig.
No, not in squigs.
They're not in the squigs.
No.
And then now you're talking about a speed war, which is another thing in its time. There are like 5 different orcs. Basically, it's a mess. A bit
You've
like
twisted
an orc
this-
army.
yeah,
A bit
you've
like an orc army.
You've twisted this round, right?
I feel like that's my job
The reason where I
in this scenario.
the reason why we got a little bit confused is because of the mention of of a mob of orcs, horde
Yes,
orcs, right?
horde orcs.
But I'm talking about a horde of orcs, not horde orcs where you get max units of boys that run across. A horde of orcs inside vehicles, because I personally think that a truck full of boys and a
Right.
battle wagon full of boys and another truck full of boys, another truck
Right.
full of boys, and then some kind of Morkanaut, Gorkanaut, which can you put stuff in the belly of both
You
of them?
can,
Yeah.
yes.
With some meganobs in there, or some meganobs in the back of a battle wagon,
Right.
and it all going forward with bikes and stuff in it, and then some of the buggies as well. It's
Right.
not a speed war. Some of the buggies mixed in. Seeing
Right.
that go across the table in one big line is glorious.
So
All right,
you're basically describing orcs.
orcs. Yeah.
Not a type of orc.
All right, fine.
Not speed
Orc.
war orcs.
Okay.
Not a horde
Orcs.
orcs to jump in. You're talking about
Just
stuff
orcs.
to get from here to there, which is what orcs do, with some big stompy things. So not speedwell with guys inside walking from here to there.
Yeah.
Orcs, just top 5 tabletop army.
Orcs.
Orcs.
Yeah.
Where the one thing we said off street beforehand is we'd hold it down to like a factional detachment type.
I
But you're
did,
like-
but you
you're like
you
orcs.
deconstructed
All
my
the orcs.
you deconstructed my
Normal orcs.
mechanized orcs back to orcs. So
It's just orcs.
all right.
Right, my top 5 then, because you're one. I don't even know what you're arguing for there.
Orcs.
Orcs as a faction.
Yeah.
My top 5 one is the Imperium.
Oh, I see.
No, that's a joke. You see
That
what
is
I've done?
I see what you
it's-
did.
Okay. So we're going to go with, this is a controversial one here. I want to strap yourself in for this one,
Yeah.
Warsmith Chris. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Because this is an army I don't own. So I'll sound
Okay.
like someone who's not an orc player arguing for all.
Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah.
But a top 5 tabletop army, just because of the sheer spectacle of the thing.
Yeah.
A Tau battlesuit army. Boom. How'd you like them apples? Slap that one down. Top 5.
I mean, where do we begin? So you're talking about tinned sardines, right? Fish in tins on the battlefield. Probably one of the most divisive of factions. Tau. And then you want to go for the robot, just the battle suits, right?
Just the battle suits.
Or like
Tau,
crisis suits and...
crisis suits, stealth suits, storm surges, ghost kills, rip tides, XV9s, hazard support suits, XV88s. We're talking Tau battle suit list. Looks glorious, got all the guns, got all the movement, and it's got a bit of a Gundam fetish as well. When has Warhammer 40k ever ripped off from Aliens or Lord of the Rings and put elves and dwarves in anything? They've never done that. When have they ever ripped off of like going down some corridors with some beep, 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 oh my god, jeans. They've never ripped off. It's all original IP. They've been to court a few times about it. It's not really Gundam either. It's Tau battle suits with guns, tin sardines all the way going pew pew pew, move, shooting and moving, and it looks absolutely glorious. Top 5 tabletop army. The thing is, if you get this army and stick it down on the battle, it looks like nothing else out of 40k.
Oh yeah.
It looks like, because other armies in 40k have tanks with infantry or trucks with infantry in it, and they have big things and little things, and they have. Or you could do the horde thing, or you could do the infantry thing, or you could do the fly things. But nothing in any other faction looks like a bunch of just battle suits on an army. It's unique, it's different, it's the pièce de résistance of the Tau, I think. It just looks so good. It's fun to play against. All the time I've gone up against a Tau battlesuit list, it's like, I'm having fun today. This is epic. I like Gundam as well. Who doesn't?
I don't like Gundam. There you go. Okay. I'm going to come at you from a different angle first, right? You're Winter's SEO.
Yes.
You're a
No
minor.
Retreat
Yeah, that's the
legend
one.
champion.
2021 No Retreat legend. You're a figure in the Warhammer 40,000 community.
A lore legend.
A lore legend. Everyone goes, it's Winters.
Yeah.
When they see him.
I get mobbed as soon as I go outside.
Yeah, exactly. And you are representing Warhammer 40,000, and then you go and say in the top 5 tabletop army list, you suggest Tau, right? Above all the other things that you could suggest for your 3 picks, one of them is Tau. So 33% of your choices for what makes the best thing is Tau. Now, I don't know if you know this about Tau, but I think Tau are probably the one faction, apart from Eldar, that people just love to really hate inside their hearts, right? It does something to people, creates a little ball of hatred in their chest. And seeing as you are a celebrity of the 40k world and know all about this, then surely you must have known coming into this that putting Tau into as 33% of your picks towards the best tabletop faction was going to cause some kind of controversy.
Well, I knew the taters were going to tate, but you don't listen to taters. Don't listen to the taters and what they're all tatering about. It doesn't matter what the taters say. If you haven't got haters, you're not tripping, Yeah. So, and let's face it, if you're in this hobby, someone somewhere out there probably thinks you're a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
So you're already. Who cares?
No, I get that. I get that.
You do you. You do you.
I just feel like there's a lot more hatred focused towards Tau than other factions.
Yeah, but we don't listen to those people, do we? We don't listen. You don't worry about what they say. They probably put the milk second after they brew the tea. You don't listen to those. They're crazy people.
But that is what you do, right? You put the milk second. You brew the tea and then you put a little dash of milk in at the end, right?
What's your top five? What's your next top five, Chris?
Okay, so this is clearly the best pick.
The best one.
This
is your third one.
In the whole thing. Right, this is the best pick in the whole thing. I've got strong reasons to support this.
Can I guess? Is it all of Chaos?
Nearly.
Like all of Orcs?
Nearly. You boiled that down to all of Orcs. I had an idea and then it was destroyed. As soon as it hit the battlefield, it was destroyed. It was picked apart.
Just like Orcs.
Piecemeal, just like Orcs. No, okay. This is very specific. Okay. Now, funnily enough, this faction doesn't have a lot of units.
Oh.
So it kind of comes across
Harlequins?
like this. It could be Harlequins. No, it's what... it's specifically the classic, a very classic build. It's the Berserker spam for World Eaters, right? Now, the reason why there are other ways to play World Eaters now, people bring a lot of 8-bound and the Exalted 8-bound, and you can have Angron running around, and you're kind of running out of unit choices there. Jackals.
That's it.
Yeah. But I still think there is something beautiful about Rhino after Rhino, just absolutely packed with 10 Berserkers in each one. You've got your Master of Execution leading them, and then you can have the Khorne. Yeah, you can have Khorne in one of those as well, and you have one goal. I think in terms of for players that want to experience carnage, having that one goal that you just go into combat. You can roll for your pistols if you want to shoot, if you're that kind of person who wants to shoot. But you're getting into combat. It's not like Orcs where you've got your Daka, because Orcs love Daka, and then they love fighting and they love Daka. This is Berserkers. They just want to take heads off of the bodies, cleanse the skulls, bathe in the blood, in the name of the blood god. They have special blood prayers that they can say. They get special gifts from Khorne to help them do that. But all they're doing is getting better and better at chopping people's heads off of their bodies, right? It's a straightforward army. It's a straightforward build. It's lots of the same thing, but each of those things is a cruise missile, and you just aim it at your opponent, and they have to do everything they can. You're putting it all on them. You're saying, these are coming for you. I'm going to enjoy it when they get there. It's your job now. You've got 1 turn, 2 turns, depending on deployment and stuff, to do what you can, and then all the fun's for me after that. I'm going to be chopping everybody up. And if you're a sore loser, you can also say things like, Khorne cares not from whence the blood flows.
They have their own catchphrases.
Yeah, you're like, well, I lost, but, he doesn't care. The blood still flowed. Yeah.
Blood for the blood god skull. You know how many factions out there have their own catchphrases? Not many.
Not many. And not many that people can really... Like, people get really into shouting "wah" and things like that. That's one thing. And then it's become like he's going to wah, because he's playing Orcs. But when you whisper... blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, to yourself, and then you rub your face, and behind on your face you've left trails of blood, and your opponent's like, where this guy's bleeding, should I call an ambulance? You're like, no, it's fine. I just think there's something delicious about playing World Eaters. If you're that kind of guy, it's not for everybody, but I think for most people that want to experience absolute carnage in a universe where war is all there is, right?
Yeah.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. So why not the faction whose people live and breathe only war? And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm putting down. Yeah?
Yeah, it's definitely a top 5 right there.
Okay.
Yeah, we agree on one.
What, you're not going to... This feels really weird.
No, Berserker Assault... Top 5 tabletop army. Hell yeah. They've got their own catchphrases.
Okay.
They've got Khorne, one of the best characters. You can play them in 30k, and guess what? They play exactly the same if you do the Berserker Assault thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing the same thing for 10,000 years.
Exactly.
It's not broke. They don't need to fix it.
And you see our battle reports from like 1998.
Yeah.
And it's
Before
the same
YouTube
thing.
even existed. Yeah.
And it was
it's
like
the same thing.
rhinos, berserkers.
Yeah.
And then up until like 2 years ago, we still use those berserkers. The same bloody ones.
Here's the thing. Everyone who plays Khorne Berserker Assault thinks it's cool. And everyone who's gone up against a Khorne Berserker Assault thinks it's cool.
Yeah.
Who does it? So you brought all the rhinos and the Khorne and the things and backed it up with some guns. There might be some stuff, but maybe not.
Nah.
But it doesn't really matter. It's mainly Khorne Berserkers going grah. It's like, this is cool.
Both players know.
Fun today.
Yeah, and everyone knows exactly where you both stand.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like, I invite you to shoot horrendous amounts of guns at me. I know. I expect that.
You got to kill half my crap before it touches your lines, because if there's more than half of my crap before it touches your lines, half my crap will kill all your shit.
Yeah.
You got to kill more. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. The red tide. Yeah.
I don't resent people who want to delve into this new stuff, the 8-bound and the exalted 8-bound, but essentially they're just turbo killy, right?
Yeah.
So they're more killy, but you can get the job done.
They're saying what it is there's the demon side of things as well. Once you've been floating around the warp for a bit longer, you can rock up with a World Eater's army which might have Mauler fiends in it, and some demon princes in it, and some exalted 8-bound in it. So you're leaning more into the demon way of things, and have some squads of jackals and maybe one's got a composite, but some jackals which are their cultists hanging back on some objectives here or there. So you can lean into the more that side of things. So that is available, and I think that's probably the only other way to playing them. But Khorne Berserkers, Red Assault, Red Wave, beautiful. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, top 5. We've agreed on 1.
Yeah, so that's my 3.
Okay,
put forward.
My 3rd one then, because we're going to have to hammer this into shape. We'll talk about some of the community's ideas and see if we can. Well, the communities hone it into a better top 5.
The communities have. I just asked them in terms of factions, because I wanted to see what the faction representation was.
Okay, because I don't think
without giving away what we were doing.
So we'll put that in at the end, because I don't think your idea, which is all of orcs, is counts. Really. Okay, so that one might fall out.
The good thing about that is
what
you would have to accept Harlequins if you got rid of orcs.
Damn it! That's not a top 5 tabletop. So we're going to put in all of orcs.
Okay, yeah, all of orcs.
Okay, top 5 tabletop army. Are you ready?
Yeah, go.
Legion of the Damned.
Legion of the Damned.
Space Marines with skeletons and flames and skulls and things. Legion of the Damned. How cool are they? As far as Space Marine Legions goes, people think, oh, I like them on the wolves, or I like the vampire ones with the big sharp, nasty pointy teeth, or I like the ones with all the moody, with all the cloaks and stuff, or I like an emo haircut and I come from the dark and I listen to The Cure. They like those. There's loads of different emo, Raven Guard, weird, and I like Raven Guard. There's loads of different Space Marine factions out there that you can pick, and I know Space Marines was in my first pick, but when you hone it into which particular faction has got to be the coolest of the Space Marine factions, which tabletop army, if you could go to an event, go to one of the community events, go to a tournament, go anywhere, and opposite you someone said, oh, here's my army, and they unhooked their case and they put down an entire army of Legion of the Damned, you would shit the bed. You would Amber Heard it. You would love it.
You would.
You would.
I'm not going to deny that. I mean, Legion of the Damned, they're spooky. Definitely spooky. Every time they appear in the lore, they're all weird, and you know, it's like, oh, I already was in the Legion of the Damned, and things like that. And they seem to defy time and space and everything, but they know things, and what are they? They're warp ghosts, aren't they? They're warpy, weird men.
Sort of. Yes.
There
is a book you can go and read. There is a book, and they did pop on the Euroventria series here or there. Manifestation of what? Yes. Yeah. They are saviors really that appear normally with the Ultramarines because of the Euro Ventura series and when they popped up first of all. But they're manifestation. They could be the Fire Thingy Bob chapter from back in, but they're not. They're not. One thing they might not be is an actual playable faction in the current setting of Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
So when I say top 5 tabletop army, they might not be officially a tabletop army.
We break our own rules
right about now.
It's
so
fine.
I might have just counted them out of the equation.
Well, here's the thing.
Myself on accident.
If you were going to run a Legion of the Damned force and you're going to put it down and you're going to say to people, check out how cool my faction is.
Yeah.
What would you do that would make it not your first pick, which is generic Space Marine X? Or have you just pushed yourself into a corner? Have you done an all orcs error?
No.
Okay.
No. It's there are.
Well, back yourself out of there. I just want to.
What? No. You can run them as Gladius.
Yeah.
Like Dark Angels players do.
Yeah.
Because the detachment said no. 1 minute. Because there is no Raven Guard thing now. Or
no. It's whatever you want it to
no
be.
No Dark Angels detachment now at all, though there is Blood Angels detachment. There is no White Scars detachment or Salamanders detachment.
Yeah.
Anyone could run as anything now. That's the beauty of this edition, which I agree with. I'm down with that. You
I
can
like
paint your
it.
miniatures,
I like it.
miniatures, whatever colours you want. How do you want to deploy them on the battle grid? But Legion of the Damned, painted well, so cool. When they did have rules, they were really cool as well, like teleporting in. The best rules they've always had were Deep Strike and Invulnerable Saves, and they were very expensive, and they didn't have any particular weaponry which set them apart from other Space Marines, but they did have the Deep Strike and they did have the Invulnerable Saves, and they used to have Fearless back in the day as well, and so you could bring in a couple of squads and they would just block stuff up.
Nice.
But wherever they've appeared, in print or in pictures, or people love them. And why there isn't new Legion of the Damned miniatures? I mean, they should upscale them and bring them along. They would sell a lot of them because they are one of the top 5 tabletop armies for Warhammer 40k.
Okay, I love that. I love that. That's such cheating. It's ridiculous. What? No, it's fine. You know what? Again, you're a fantastic salesman. I've been sold on all these.
Right.
It might just be that there's so much information, so much noise that I can't get the signals out of it. The signal to noise ratio is so off that I just agree with you.
Good. So what we can agree on then is definitely not Harlequins or all of Orcs. We can agree on my 3, which are generic Space Marines, Legion of the Damned, Tau suits, and we can put in Khorne Berserkers as well. That gives us a top 4, and then we can go to the community for the top 5.
All right. Well, listen. The community seems to be very unanimous on their favourite faction.
Okay.
Now, the problem is with this faction is it can be played quite a few different ways. So,
is that a problem or a bonus?
Well, that might be the truth of it. That might be why everybody likes them so much. So, another weird observation, right? So, a lot of people said Imperial Guard, right? Imperial Guard specifically. They didn't say Astra Militarum.
Right.
There's an Imperial Guard. So it makes me feel like, for the nostalgic long-term player, the Guard holds something special in the 40k universe.
You know what I think? I think, there's there's no good guys in Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue that from an individual point, the Guard aren't the heroes, aren't the good guys. Not like the Imperium of Man sort of thing. But the Gaunt's Ghost, the squad level, if you're an Imperial human, if you're someone with a las gun fighting demons, I mean, that's heroic. That's the story right there, right?
Yeah.
They're a bit... They've got a lot to... there's...
No, I know what you're saying, and that I have recently come to this realization as well. I've realized that actually, in all the books that we read, the real characters, you can like Space Marine characters, you can like certain Chaos characters, certain Astartes, certain Primarchs or anything, but the real stories that keep all of them going, There's
Yeah.
always some kind of guard regiment. There's always a person on the ground, a you in the setting. I was thinking about it as well. Like, I really enjoyed just the little side bits that were going on in Legion, for example, with those guys. And I'm working my way through the Siege of Terra, and it's like the stuff that happens from a guard perspective. It has something different to it than hearing about an all powerful post-human who can do everything, who you can never be like,
Yeah.
who you can never experience. Like, I mean, they can get in a drop pod and it fails and they crash down to earth and walk out of them like, oh, I'm all right.
Yeah.
Which is an event that if you're experiencing it from a guard perspective, that's peril, that's death, that's oh my god, you know what I mean? It's much more. I don't want to say relatable. I don't want to say relatable.
No.
Because it's not relatable in the sense that we aren't living in a universe constantly at war with being fed into a machine of death.
Yeah.
But I guess it's the idea. It gives us a way to understand the actual scale and horror of the 40k setting, I think.
Yeah.
And that's why I think people like Guard.
Yeah, Guard. Did they say Guard?
That's why people like Imperial Guard / Astra Militarum.
Right.
I think.
Okay, so one of the top 5 tabletop armies is we need to think of a Guard thing. So it's not going to be Scions, because you can't just say Guard.
Yeah.
So we're talking, like, you're probably talking mechanized assault Guard.
Yeah.
You're talking Chimeras, you're talking Taurochs, backed up by some tanks and some artillery.
You've got your
Guard.
classic tanks. If you've got your Lehman Russes on the table, if you have your Rogel Dawns, which I love Rogel Dawns now, but the Lehman Russ has to be there as well, right? You have to have 3 Lehman Russes of some variety. You might have a Baneblade to anchor the whole lot in, right in the middle,
tanks.
And you want squads of Guard, in Chimeras, going out doing the missions. You can play it out like super army soldiers. You can actually have them going out to different objectives, being covered by tank fire, firing lanes. You've got basilisks at the back, like suppressing people with artillery. Yeah, it's I guess it's called the all-comers Guard army, right? It's not focused on anything, but that archetype army is something that has always been in 40k.
Combined
in some
arms.
way. Combined
arms Guard.
Yeah.
Yes.
They'll go in there.
I mean, you can lean into different flavours. Once you get into Guard, you can go into all the tanks, you can go into all the Scions, you can go into Recon Company. There's different ways of doing the Guard. But Combined Arms Guard has got to be one of the top 5 tabletop. I mean, the chat has come up trumps here. I'll flip my cap to this one.
Yeah.
There's in any edition. So again, you sit down opposite someone at an event or a thing or someone, and they rock up and they got the Rogel Dawns, they got some basilisks, and they got Guard. You're like, fair play. And then they start telling you a story about Rommel and the Africa Corps, and you're like, you really like your Guard. I could see that's why you painted them all in Talon colours, didn't you? You know, this is
the Guard. They name every guy. They name every guy. They go, look, this is the sergeant, and this is little Johnny here, and this is his brother Simon who serves with him in there. Don't kill one and not the other, because that'd be sad.
This is the guy. This is Ryan. I named him after Saving Private Ryan because I really like that movie. I painted them in these colour schemes because Apocalypse Now is the greatest movie of all time. And that sort of thing. And Gaunt's Ghost, have you read Gaunt's Ghost? The greatest Warhammer book series that there is out there.
You know what, I've got Gaunt's Ghost, I haven't read it, but carry on.
It's amazing. You will end up collecting Guard. Don't read it. This is a warning, should flash up on the screen right now, particularly if your grey plastic pile of shame is really, really big. Do not read or listen to Gaunt's Ghosts, because you will end up getting a Guard army after that, particularly as Gaunt's Ghosts is in the new codex, and you can field them and you can play with them. It's a bit like reading the Night Lords trilogy or listening to the Night Lords trilogy on Audible. You can't do it and not end up with Night Lords.
Yeah, that's hard. That is hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw you a bone. Okay. Right? I'm gonna say, number 1.
Yeah.
As much as I went against it before, I do believe, truthfully in my heart, that Space Marines are your top tabletop faction. I know it sounds boring. Some people might be groaning and stuff, but honestly, there is no better way to start the 40k journey, the 40k adventure with the heroes of the Imperium,
The poster boys.
the Astartes. Yeah,
Collect what you want, paint them the colour you want, call them whatever you want. Boom.
Yeah, and I think the great thing about power armor is, most people are going to be able to help you play your army because they know power armor stats, they know the weapons, they know the armor, they know everything. And also, it gives you literally a starting point to gauge everything else that you go for after that, right? So
Yep.
if you, after that, say, oh, what are these custodians then? Oh, they're like super elite versions of Space Marines. They're super tough.
Yeah.
They've got really good armor, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I want to play Guard. And it's like, okay, so you're going to dial it all back a step. These are just the regular people, so you won't hit as good. You won't survive as well. You won't blah, 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 but you'll have more. You can kind of gauge everything off of it. So I think it's a good grounded start to the 40k universe. Space Marines, number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, in our top
Combined
5.
Arms Guard.
Combined Arms Guard, because that's
Got to
what
be.
that's what the community,
Even
they love.
people who don't like 40k will see a Combined Arms Guard, like your dad or your granddad, will see
the
a Combined
tanks.
Arms Guard thing in front of you and go, that's nice. What is that? It just looks cool. And they are the unsung heroes of the 41st millennium. Bob in the trench with his las rifle, facing a hive guard lord thing. Hive tyrant. 28 seconds or whatever, or minutes. They're the guys. That's number 2.
That's number 2.
Number 3, Tau battlesuits.
No, not a chance. Not a bloody chance.
We're not going to put spandex in there.
Number 3, World Eaters.
Yes, okay.
I'll tell you why, because they're your variant of the Space Marines. Chaos needs to get a look in.
Yes.
You've got to have your yin and your yang.
Yes.
Right? And if the first two are confusing you and you need to dial it back again, then just hit things with World Eaters. Number 3 is World Eaters.
And then they got catchphrases. Again, there's not very many. Skulls for the skull throne.
Skulls for the skull throne.
And of course, God.
Yeah.
From that movie.
Yeah, Khorne. Yeah. And Khan himself, what a tale of what a great fall from a fantastic guy.
He was a good guy in the wrong legion, like Garrow, like Loken, but he was like Argyle Tal. These are Argyle Tal and Sevatar and Khan are good guys in the wrong legion that weren't able to escape the wrong legion.
Yeah, and they would be known as the mightiest if they were in the right legion at the right time. Yeah. Khan, great guy, but not so much anymore. He's a bit like.
I still like him because he's the Khan betrayer and he kills bad guys, and I'm an Imperial player at heart, so him killing bad guys is good.
So that's 3. That leaves us 2 left. I just feel bad putting Tau battlesuits in the top
unique.
5.
What? Why?
Can we put Space Marines again?
We can put Space Marines in again. This is our list. We know no fear. We have no rules. We can put Legion of Damned in. I ask anyone in the comment section, anyone watching this video, and I ask you, Warsmith Chris, that if you rocked up at King in the North or wherever it might be, and you were opposite you, the person opened up a fully painted, glorious Legion of the Damned
with all
army,
the flames,
wouldn't you have the biggest smile on your face ever? You're like, oh my god, I get to fight these.
Are we talking about 90s Legion of the Damned?
I'm talking about now. In now, it doesn't matter. Like, so they've got the full minis. There's like 6 tactical squads there. So, with rhinos, a couple of dreadnoughts, a couple of tanks. It's Legion of the Damned.
So number 4 is an unsupported, not technically released faction.
Yes.
That's the rule. This is the STC. We do whatever we want here, right?
It would be the coolest
Number
thing.
4 is our fictional fanboy love of crazy spooky Marines.
Yes.
I remember when
Spooky Space Marines.
I was a kid getting into Warhammer. I remember hearing Legion of the Damned and thinking that they must be like so awesome. They must be so powerful. And I'm pretty sure we had minis of them back then.
We did. They're probably legends. And number 5, Gundam.
Number 5 is literally, I'd rather have it as nothing. I'd rather just do a top 4. I'm not putting Tau in the top 5.
I'm not putting Harlequins in the top 5.
That's it. We don't put either of them in then. It's a top 4.
The top 4 tabletop
The top
armies.
4 tabletop armies brought to you by the
If
STC.
you know what the number 5 tabletop army is, we're not talking about the entire faction. We're talking about an army that you want to play against. What's the thumb up the best? Right in the comment section below.
Yep.
And thumb up the one that you agree with the most. What should be in the top 5? Not 5th or 3rd. What should be in there? And why is it Gundam Tau battlesuits?
If you've watched this far, listen, you made it all the way to the end, and I didn't even do a thing in the back of it. So if you have made it this far,
Yes.
I'd really like to know. And I think you should put in the comments that what do you think the best soaker upper kitchen towel is? Right, because Bounty reckons it's the strongest soaker upper. Right, Bounty, the strongest soaker upper. Bounty. I've got a child, and I need to find some durable kitchen towel. This is more for personal reasons.
Okay.
If you've got any recommendations, I really need to know. It's really expensive. But anyway, thank you for tuning into the STC. We've had our top 4 Warhammer factions. If you did leave a question, I'm not going to get rid of them.
Right.
We'll save them for another time because we have a few in there that were good.
Was there a question that we wanted to answer?
They're all way too long.
You said there was a good one.
There was one about.
I mean, we can cut it. We can cut it here if you want.
No, I tell you what.
You've got a kid probably screaming in the background, rolling around in their own vomit, and you've got to unchain her in a minute.
I've got to
hose her down.
I just dropped her in a little cage while I do this.
Puts the lotion in the basket, or it gets the hose again.
No, we can talk about. We can get meaty on that question.
What?
Another time.
Can we?
Yeah, it's about Necrons. It was about. Do you want to? Shall I just do it? Shall I just ask the question?
I don't know how much time you have. I'm personally frothing with excitement right now.
You know what? Here we go.
You've wound me up. I'm ready to go.
Sorry, this is very professional. Me just desperately finding this question.
We can cut this. It's fine.
No.
Thanks for listening to episode something of the ST something
Necrons
story. Necrons.
I just want to find the person who asked it. Hang on.
Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Here we go. Badger King. Badger King.
The king of the badgers.
So why are Necron bodies human-ish in size? Why aren't there Titan-sized Necron bodies? Surely in the War in Heaven, biotransference to a chunky body would have appealed to some overlords. Also, Badger King said that their favourite army is Thousand Suns as well. So bit weird, but no, I'm joking. I love Thousand Suns, but you know, you play them as you cast spells, and they're not quite doing that at the moment. Well, they are, but they're not. Anyway, throw that away to the side.
Right.
Necrons, they could have gone into anything. Why were they enticed? So when the whole deception thing happened, and they were tricked into becoming immortal. Yeah, biotransference, and they went into these chambers, and then were put into. They lost the little guys lost their minds and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Why were they not? Why was there not something better to put them in? Why?
I certainly think it's not because Games Workshop riffs off of other IPs like Aliens and Lord of the Rings and Gundam and things, and a very popular 80s movie called Terminator hadn't come out around the time when the Necron Codex was released, with the rule in it all the way up until 7th edition, not I'll Be Back, but We'll Be Back was their special rule. I'm certainly it's got nothing to do with that, because this is all original IP.
Yeah.
It's not because of that.
You know what, Badger King, I think...
So what could it be because of?
I think we both overthought this one. Because there's me thinking, yeah, man, they could be giant enemy crabs. No, they're Terminator, all right? They're T-1000s. Thank you very much for joining us for the STC. I do have to go get my kid out of the cage that I put her in, so we should probably wrap it up there.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks
Happy
for
wargaming.
You've all been very kind. Love you, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thank you. I'm Cat.
Bye.
Bye.